I challenge you to stop sugar for 10 days and you are likely to see miraculous results in your health. Sugar is the socially acceptable drug of choice in our country today. It is almost as addictive as heroin is, and it really does a great job of giving you a quick lift. It stimulates dopamine, which is a feel-good hormone that gets released in your gut and your brain, makes you feel good for a while, but then what happens is these receptor sites get desensitized and you need more and more of this sugar to elicit that response. And before you know it, it's unfortunate, but you're addicted. Think about how much sugar is interwoven into our daily lives. You may put sugar in your coffee, you may consume regular soda, pop, energy drinks. Every celebration or birthday or holiday is surrounded by some type of sugar for the celebration. You take your kids to the store, you check out at the counter, at the checkout counter, what's sitting there? Loads of candy and sugar. I mean, sugar is everywhere. It's no wonder why diabetes is closing in on 10% of our population. But we have to stop the insanity. Please stick through this video till the end, because I'm going to go over all of the awful ramifications that sugar has to affecting your health, and there are many of them, and you need to know what these are. You need to be educated on this. But more importantly, I'm going to show you how you can reverse this dwindling spiral, get the sugar out of your diet, and handle those sugar cravings, those carb cravings that keep you going back for more. So please listen up. Let's dive in. So how does sugar negatively affect the body? Well, let's dive into some simple physiology. So when you consume a lot of sugar, what happens is the body produces a hormone called insulin, and that's what diabetics take to help lower blood sugar. So your pancreas is a sausage-sized gland that produces this hormone insulin, and when you consume sugar, what happens is insulin is the bridge that takes sugar out of the cell and into the bloodstream, and then it disseminates the sugar around to do its thing. But when you consume vast amounts of sugar over time, the pancreas will start to wear out. First, it'll start pumping out chronically high levels of insulin, and then after a while, that insulin just doesn't get produced anymore because that pancreas peters out. So when you have chronically high levels of insulin over a number of years, then that is destructive to the body. Insulin in high levels causes pain, inflammation, it causes the arteries to break down, it causes blood vessels and the small little nerves in your body to break down, especially in the eyes, in the feet, in the hands. So you can develop what is called neuropathy or retinopathy of the eye. And these are those small blood vessels breaking down, not getting the nutrients and the nerve information to those parts. This topic of blood sugar is near and dear to my heart because my father died at 62 from complications due to type 2 diabetes. He was on 10 medications at the end of his life. This was before I was in the natural healthcare field, and it's what got me into this field. One of the main reasons anyways is I was looking for a better way than drugs and surgery. It just didn't work for my dad. He had slow deterioration of his health over time, and while he deteriorated, the medications continued to go up. So when your health goes down, medications go up, and you're not improving, there's got to be a better way, right? And just look at it with a commonsensical approach. And so that's when I really delved into my quest to find natural, effective approaches to handling blood sugar issues. There are two effective blood tests that give you a good idea of what your blood sugar is, and that is the fasting glucose, which you'd like to see below 100, and hemoglobin A1C, which you would ideally like to see below 5.0. When your fasting glucose elevates above 100, it gets maybe in the 120s, then that's really when you're starting to get into what is called insulin resistance. That's where the pancreas is starting to chronically pump out that insulin because there's so much sugar in the bloodstream on a regular basis from your diet that it just chronically starts habitually pumping out that hormone. And then what happens is the cells start to get desensitized. This hormone, this bridge that connects with your cell called insulin, well, the receptor will start to desensitize and it won't even accept that hormone on that cell. So then the pancreas starts pumping out more and more insulin, and then it's a vicious cycle until before it's all said and done, the pancreas just tires out, doesn't make this hormone, and then you're going to get the chronically high blood sugar. When you have this chronically high blood sugar, it's going to make your artery walls thicker and less pliable, which can raise blood pressure. It's going to cause adrenaline-like hormones to be produced, which can raise your blood pressure as well. It's going to cause pain and inflammation in your body, and it's just going to break the body down. Sugar is destructive to the body. I always tell my patients, sugar equals pain. If you have any chronic pain in your body and you want to increase that pain, go eat a dose of sugar. And it might not happen right away. It might take a few days, but you're going to see an increase in an inflammatory response in the body and an increase in pain. Okay, so we've painted a dismal picture of what sugar can do to your body and what the ramifications of consuming it over a long period of time can be. Well, let's get into some solutions. So the first solution, and it's a simple one, is keep your carbohydrates at 75 to 100 grams per day or less. If you can do that, then what's going to happen is you're going to be basically consuming less sugar because carbohydrates are sugar. And if you can keep those carbs, again, 75 to 100 grams, what's going to happen is you're not going to produce that insulin as much. It's going to give your pancreas time to rest and repair. And over time, you're going to see less inflammation, and you may very well see a reversal in some of the health conditions that this sugar caused for you. Now understand, if 75 to 100 grams or less of carbs per day is difficult for you to maintain, then that just means you have quite a sugar and carbohydrate addiction. So I'm going to give you a few tips for that, so stay tuned. Now, the other thing you need to do, the next big thing you need to do is you need to make sure and engage in some cardiovascular exercise. A minimum of 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise 3 times a week. Or if you want to take an hour-long walk, a somewhat brisk walk, a minimum of 3 times a week, that will also be great. Now, why is exercise so important? Well, exercise increases the demand for sugar in your cells. When you're exercising more, the cells in your muscles, in your body, they demand more sugar for energy, so you're burning that up and your body's working more efficiently. So the more sugar you can burn, the better, because it's going to be less sugar floating around in your bloodstream. Did you know if you walk less than 10,000 steps a day, you are considered sedentary and living a sedentary lifestyle? Yeah, and it's so common because we're all driving everywhere, we're sitting, working on a computer, we're just not as active as people were 100 years ago, right? Or if you're in Europe, you tend to bicycle ride or walk places. We don't do that a whole lot, at least I'm in the Midwest. So it's important to spend that time getting out there, walking, moving your body, getting the blood pumping. Before I get into my most important tip to help you handle your blood sugar issue or prevent you from having blood sugar issues, I would like to offer you a special report that I give all of my patients. It's called The Role of Insulin and Its Effect on Your Health. So look in the description below and you can get that, and it's going to give you a nice little table that tells you all the negative effects that high insulin has and how its counterpart, the hormone glucagon, can get produced, which negates all of those negative effects that insulin has on your body. So make sure and take advantage of that. Okay, so let's get into the final really, really important piece of information I'm going to give you, and that's how to handle sugar and carb cravings. Because the mind may want to get to this 75 grams of carbs or less per day, but the body may be trained into consuming too much sugar, and you might have cravings. Like I said at the beginning of the video, sugar is like a drug, okay? The body gets addicted to it. So let me give you my 3 tips for sugar cravings. Number 1, if you have a craving, and this often happens late afternoon when you get, a little drop in energy, then you get a little, craving for some type of candy or sweet item or carb. So what I recommend you do, by the way, this can also happen after dinner, right? That's when I often feel that type of a response. So what you can do is drink a glass of water and wait 10 minutes. If that sugar craving decreased considerably, then you were just a little dehydrated. Sometimes it can be that simple. So then what you can do is just make sure you're getting enough water throughout the day. And you certainly don't want to drink tap water, which is loaded with chlorine and fluoride and pharmaceuticals, unfortunately. So what you want to do is you want to get some good type of distilled water with minerals added, or some type of spring water. And I have other videos which you can look at where I talk about certain, water sources, what's better, what's not better, best, worst, spring waters, etc. So drink water, wait 10 minutes, and that sugar craving might be gone. My second tip for sugar cravings is eat fermented foods. If you have a craving coming on, eat some raw fermented sauerkraut, or there's a brand of pickle out there called Bubby's Pickles. There's some other fermented pickles out there. So the regular store-bought pickles don't typically do the job, but you got to get some fermented food and just eat it. Even kombucha, which has pretty low levels of sugar in it, if you just take a swig of that and wait 10-15 minutes, oftentimes that balances the pH of the body, which can be a little bit off. That can be stimulating some sugar cravings, and it handles it and you're off to the races. So fermented foods, but they have to be raw. You may be thinking, well, where am I going to get raw fermented foods? Well, most grocery stores have these now, and they're usually in the refrigerated specialty aisle. So take a look. At my grocery store, they have fermented pickles, they have fermented beets, fermented green beans, carrots, kimchi, which is a spicy, kind of Asian fermented food. So look into it. Before we get into the last and one of my favorite tips for sugar cravings that is extremely effective, what I'd like you to do is just drop a comment below and let the audience know what you've tried for sugar cravings. I'd love to know too. Maybe there's some other effective measure that you've tried that has been very helpful at you eradicating your sugar cravings. So we'd love to know, so drop a comment below. All right, let's get into the last tip. So there are a couple supplements that I use. These are my go-to supplements that are fantastic for sugar cravings. The first one is inositol powder, and the second one is an herb called gymnema. So this is a really good 1-2 punch. The inositol powder is actually a sugar-based molecule, but it doesn't have the effect that sugar does on the body. Okay, it's actually a B vitamin. And oftentimes when you're craving sugar, you're actually deficient in inositol. So when you supply that deficiency with the supplement, then it eradicates those blood sugar issues and sugar cravings. So give it a try. It's really, really good for when you're having a craving to take some of this. The powdered form you can just take in a scoop. It almost tastes like powdered sugar. We also have a tablet form, and you can get these in our Shopify store. Just go below and you'll see holisticvisionary.shop. But anyways, this product's been around for a long, long time from a company called Standard Process, which I grew up taking and have used with my patients for 25 years. Fantastic company, whole food supplements. You're not going to get anything better than those. So that's inositol. Let's talk about gymnema. So gymnema is an herb that has been shown to reverse the deadening of the pancreas. It actually can bring back to life the beta cells of the pancreas that make insulin. There's studies and research showing this. Another thing, and an interesting little caveat with gymnema, is you can actually suck on one of the pills for a minute or two. It doesn't taste the greatest, but then it will actually alter the taste of sugar. So if you ate a candy bar or something sweet right after, you wouldn't really taste and have the enjoyment of it. So sometimes it can just help reprogram the taste receptors as well. You don't have to suck on it. It works well if you just take it orally on a regular basis. But anyways, you should give that a try. We call it the Gymnema Challenge. And you suck on it for a couple minutes, then eat a cookie or eat a bite of something sweet like a candy bar, and it just doesn't taste good at all. So Anyways, give those 2 supplements a shot. Certainly the other recommendations that I gave are effective, but hopefully you got something out of this video. Sugar is a big problem, and it's my goal in life to help handle some of these sugar issues, because if there's one thing that causes more health problems than any other thing on the planet, I consider it to be sugar. Check out the next video above if you want more information on how to improve your health naturally.